Hello, and welcome to day 2. So for today, I've really been thinking about what it is I want to do today, what sort of vibe I want to give off, all of these things, and I decided I really like having a nice grounding session, opening the hips, opening the lower back a little bit. When we do these things, it really brings us closer to the earth and closer to nature. We're like laying down, close to the floor for a long time and stretching our backs out and stretching, getting really to, I guess, ground ourselves, root ourselves. And so, oddly enough, I dressed in a very fitting way. I feel like a flannel and some green yoga pants and some nice green lipstick, mostly because I was wearing green yoga pants and flannel, but that's beside the point. So, today for our practice, it's going to be relatively low to the ground, lots of deep breaths, not as active, but I think it's going to be a really good practice nonetheless. So go ahead and meet me in a seat if you're not already, and let's start with some breathing. All right, so you want your sit bones to reach into the ground or reach into the pillow if you've decided to put a pillow under you. Doing so will help straighten up your spine. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. Nice long spine, nice long neck as an extension of the spine. You can relax your hands at your knees. Close your eyes and let's begin. So first, let's just take a couple deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Again. Again. Nice and slowly. Last one. Okay. So now this time, let's really pay attention to where our breath is coming from, right? Let's really try and fill our breath from the bottom, from the very, the very bottom of your buttocks, I suppose. And just try and use your stomach muscles to fill yourself up with air. Fill up your stomach and then your chest and then your neck. And when you're very, very full, slowly let it out. Some prefer top to the bottom. I tend to also let it out bottom to the top. We'll do it again. Fill yourself up from the very bottom up until there's no more room for air. Hold and slowly let it out through your nose. One more time through. Really fill yourself up with air. Fill yourself up, 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 up. Hold and exhale slowly through the nose. You can return to some regular breathing. Just take a second here to notice how your breath is now. Are you breathing through your stomach? Are you breathing through your chest? Just no need to make any more changes. Just take a second to notice. And then slowly open your eyes. Okay, let's get started. So let's go ahead and start out in child's pose. For anyone who's totally and completely new, no idea what child's pose is, so you have your toes here out behind you, right? It's like you're on your hands and knees here. You bring your knees out to the edges of the mat. Your big toes should touch here, right? I'd say bring your arms out a little bit more. For me, I'm a rather big person, so I can easily cover the entire mat. You might not find yourself in a similar position, and that's totally okay. And from here, you're going to take your hips and bring them back. And the goal, I don't want to call it a goal. If you find yourself in a situation where um, your buttocks can touch your heels, that's great. If not, that's totally fine too. And so from here, try and keep your shoulders away from your ears, but also try and keep your arms stretched out in front of you. Maybe put a little bit of pressure there, right? And you can relax your head down toward the mat. Now, if your head goes all the way down to touch the mat, that's great. But if not, just as far down as you can let it go is totally fine. And we'll breathe. This is a good place to try that breathing we did earlier today as well, where you're breathing from the bottom of your stomach all the way up and out. Now for a nice stronger stretch you can feel in your back here, it's like you're trying to push your hip bones down into the ground while keeping the upper half of your body still. Couple more breaths here. Last one. And from here, we'll come up into our lovely cat-cow. So it's just, you're here on your hands and knees, right? Trying to keep your shoulders in alignment with your wrists here. So just move it back a little bit. And then you'll bring your hips and knees so that they're in alignment as well. All right? With a lovely cat pose. And your neck is an extension of your spine here, so it'll be nice and a nice continuation here. And so then from there, you're going to go into cow. And so with cow pose, you're just trying to bring your belly down toward the mat. Allow your hips to come out and open. Neck is an extension of the spine. Shoulders nice and relaxed. And you do this normally on an inhale. And then on your exhale, you're just going to try and create a nice big curve in the spine here, right? Like you're arching your back like a cat. And let your head hang low. On your next inhale, come up to cow. And exhale into cat. Inhale into cow. And exhale into cat. Last one, inhale into cow. And exhale into cat. And we'll come here at our neutral spine, also known as tabletop. And then we'll go ahead and widen our knees back, have our toes touch, bring our arms out a little bit, and push ourselves back into child's pose. And breathe. And on your next inhale, come back up into cat-cow. I'm sorry, we'll come back up into tabletop here. And we're just going to take a second to just enjoy our play with our bodies here, right? So you can move side to side. You can do some more cat-cows if you'd like. If you'd like to go around in a circle a little bit to inspire a little bit more movement in your body, just go with whatever feels good to you. And we'll come back into child's pose for a little bit longer. On your next inhale, go ahead and come up into our tabletop. And what we're actually going to do is bring your arms a bit forward, and we're going to come down to meet the mat here. Our bodies, the front of our bodies lying on the mat. Now, normally if you, not even. So what we're going to do is, oftentimes you'll find yourself with this position, with your hands underneath your shoulders. And today we're going to actually bring them out a little bit so that your forearms are on the mat. Keep your toes and the tops of your feet engaged into the mat. Keep your hips tight to the mat and your thighs are engaged, right? And it's like you're pulling your body out and up. Inhale up into a Sphinx. And on your next exhale, go ahead and come down. You might find yourself moving your arms out a little bit more, and that's okay as well. And on your next inhale, come up for Sphinx. And exhale, bring your body back down to the mat. We'll inhale up to tabletop. Curl our toes under us, and we'll head into downward dog. Now here, our idea is to really try and lengthen the spine, right? All we're doing here is really trying to lengthen the spine. So you want to keep your stomach and, even your chest if you find yourself being a bit more flexible. Keep a nice generous bend in the knees, and your stomach and your chest will be touching your thighs as it should be, because the goal here is not to focus on your legs, it's to focus on stretching your back. Keep your shoulders nice and wide. And your thumbs can point toward the front of the mat, giving you a bit more room to grow. Leaving your index fingers pointing more towards the middle. And on your next exhale, go ahead and come back down into tabletop. We're just going to make for a nice, easy transition here. So what you'll be doing next is you'll go from tabletop into a nice lunge. So you'll go ahead and, so if you are newer to yoga, you're here on your tabletop, and you can just use your hands to bring your right foot up like this to come into a nice lunge like this, just nice and simple, no big deal. If you'd like more of a challenge, come back up into downward dog, lift your leg up, and push it through. And you can bring your knee back down. All right, so we have your knee down here, and you will come into a lunge. Now this is the smallest angle that you want, right? So that your knee is directly above your ankle. You can have it less, but please do not have it, you can have it be a wider angle, right, out like this, but please don't have it be a smaller angle going the other way, okay? And of course you can bring your leg out if you feel like you need a deeper stretch. And so from there, we can bring our hands to our knee like this for a nice deep stretch. If you would like a stronger sensation, you can bring your arms up over your head like this as well, and just focus on breathing. And on your next exhale, go ahead and bring your arms back down to either side of your foot. Bring your foot down into tabletop. And now here's yogi's choice. If tabletop is comfortable for you and you just want to switch your legs like this, that's perfectly acceptable. If you would like to come back up, experience a breath or two in downward dog, bring your leg up and come right on through and bring that knee down for lunge. That's perfectly acceptable as well. Either way, by now you should be in your lunge. So you can bring your hands up over your head or just to your knee is perfectly acceptable. Find a space that works for you and breathe. And on an exhale, go ahead and bring your hands down to either side of your mat. And come into tabletop. Now from here, also yogi's choice, I'll be demonstrating it with downward dog because I personally find it a little bit easier. But I also know for people who might not have a ton of strength or their wrists are bothering them, this using it through tabletop might be easier, kind of like what we did for the lunge. So we're coming up here into downward dog. Or let me go ahead and show you how to do it from tabletop first. Sorry about that. So from tabletop, what you'll do is you'll give yourself a little more room here, right? Give yourself a little more space. You'll bring your right foot up, wiggle it over to the left side, drop here, drop your knee, and then you can scoot your leg back into until you start to feel a little bit of a sensation. There's no need for it to be strong. A small, light feeling is fine. And then from here you have your variations. You can come up here. Staying up here is perfectly fine for our king pigeon. You can come down here if you'd like. That's okay too. Or you can come all the way down and have your head touch the mat. I think having your head touch the mat is the strongest sensation, but that's for me personally. You can find which position suits you the best. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and breathe here. On your next inhale, go ahead and come on up. Curl your toes out from under you. And give you a space to lift your knee back up. You can come into tabletop, or you can go straight into downward dog. Now we're here in downward dog. Go ahead and lift up your left leg and bring it up to land by your right hand. Bring your I have to scoot my leg out a bit more because I have very long legs, but maybe you don't have to. Bring your knee down towards your left hand, and you can stretch your body out here for pigeon on the other side. Whichever position suits you. Here, here, or here. And breathe deeply. And go ahead and curl your back toes, and on an inhale, go ahead and come back up into tabletop. And we'll go ahead and widen our knees, have your toes touch, and we'll extend out into child's pose. go ahead and meet me in a seat. Come out of child's pose and meet me in a seat. Go ahead and turn onto our sides here, onto our sides. Turn so that your body is parallel, I guess, to the long side of the mat. And we'll go ahead and do some windshield wipers here to cool down. So what does that mean? It means we'll have our feet at an angle, and they'll be about hips width apart. Okay, so they're kind of angle kind of like this, and we'll roll onto our backs. And so we'll go ahead and on an exhale, you'll lean both your knees towards one side of the mat. Try to almost like and it's almost like you're trying to keep your shoulders on the floor. And on an inhale, your knees come back up toward the sky. And an exhale onto the other side. Inhale back up toward the sky. And exhale, side one. Inhale up. Exhale, side two. And inhale up. So now we'll go ahead and stretch it out just a little bit longer, right? So we'll inhale, side one. If you'd like a deeper sensation, feel free to move your head to the opposite side of your knee. Tilt your head to the opposite side of your knee. And on your next inhale, come up. And over to side, and exhale over to side two. And inhale, knees up toward the sky. From here, you can go ahead and flatten your legs out toward the ground. Bring your hands down to the ground as well. Into corpse pose. Palms up to receive everything that the universe has for you. And palms down if you're feeling more introspective. This is the perfect time to focus on your breath. Check in with your body. It works hard for you every day. I'll go ahead and invite you to start introducing some movement into your body again. Just wiggling your fingers and your toes. Maybe introducing some movement into your arms, into your legs a little bit if you feel it. And when you're ready, go ahead and turn onto your side. And use your arms to help you come back up. And meet me here in a seated position. So today's class was a little shorter than I expected, but the beauty of this class is I feel like we still got everything we needed out of it. I hope you feel the same. Thank you for joining me in my practice, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of your practice. The light in me sees the light in you. Namaste.